Master's Tale. This is a Master's Tale 2. I dealt in the first episode with the proportionality between the groups in same-sex or male-to-male BDSM, but it can actually be across the board. Swingers would have the same makeup, whereas in swingers often it's mistresses who are the centre of scenes, and they're also organising to groupings. We'll deal with swingers in a different episode, and I will probably bring someone else to talk about them. Now, so we got four groupings: masters, slaves, tops, and subs. Let's define what a master is. I can only do that by my own experience and also by the reading. And the literature on this is fairly extensive, although most of it is written often from same-sex lesbian points of view or from swingers' points of view. But it's we're dealing with the same gradient of human feelings and playing with concepts of hierarchy and submission and exploring the internal workings of oneself and an interplay of forces in the real world. In a play section, your reality is mimicked. Although it is real enough, but it is mimicked. So, a master. I call myself a master. If you call yourself a lord, you have a peerage. If you call yourself a doctor, you have a university qualification and usually certificated experience which says that you've passed the exams and are competent to practice. If you're a train driver, you also have certificates and professional qualifications which allow you to drive a train. Even though the vast majority of people never see you, you're in charge of people's lives and their well-being. A master is also in a similar situation if he's serious. And therefore, how do I qualify? Is there any certificates for it? Is there any professional exams? No. But I think experience and life prepare oneself for it. How did I come here? It's an evolutionary process, as far as I'm concerned. At around the age of 7, in a Hollywood movie, I realized that bondage turned me on. Not that I knew what being turned on was at 7, but it aroused a very deep interest when I watched cowboys and Indians playing out some rather fetish-orientated games. I'm sure the director of the movie knew what he was doing, and possibly so did the actors. I got a thrill from it, and I knew it was a secret one. At the age of 17, I became a top. And I did my first scene, and it was quite an isolated one because it wouldn't be repeated for some years, after picking up a ship's officer on a train. It was extremely graphic, extremely safe, highly exciting, and incredibly experimental. We were both surprised, he more than I. It left a deep impression, possibly on him too. At 28 to 30 years old, he realised something about himself he found extremely disturbing, which he obviously hadn't realised before. I took it as part of a process, not thinking that the destination would become clear in due process of time, or maybe it was just a side road. In my 20s, I became what would be called a leather boy. I wore leather jackets and had a series of young men, young pretty men, as subs, that's what we call them now, but really as wives in those days. I was out sexually and out as gay, whatever that means. Now I don't subscribe necessarily to that particular label. And until my mid-20s, I would be sleeping with girls and also with boys. So my life was kind of mixed at that point. It would go on being a conventional leather scene for me until my late 40s, when my entire financial and social world collapsed. I set out on a new course then. I set out to explore the world in a more fundamental